recently happened that was pretty exciting and was a result of these collaborative efforts is Butte County has been selected to host a multi-agency training and prescribed burning event called the TREX, which is short for a training exchange. The TREX is a fire training and learning opportunity, and it's designed to increase professional burning capacity within local agencies and organizations. So the participants apply, and then they work alongside professionals to complete training objectives, and then they receive evaluations from qualified trainers. So in this case, the project area and then adjoining lands will serve as host units that benefit from these workers helping with the burn event. And that is actually going to start, hopefully some of you saw some PR that went out. Terra Fuego's been taking the lead on that, and I know they've been very, very busy, as you all know, with the fire season this year. So I know some things went out on that, and if you'd like more information, I can provide that for you. And then in August, we signed an MOU with the Butte County Fire Safe Council to develop a landscape level planning framework in Butte County. So, you know, we believe that forest restoration and management should be implemented comprehensively at the landscape scale to be the most effective and to yield multiple watershed benefits. And the Butte County Community Wildfire Protection Plan provides general guidelines and direction, but the CWPP, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan Work Group, recognized the need for more comprehensive planning efforts. And so they began working in partnership with the Butte County Fire Safe Council to establish the foundation for the development and formalization of a landscape level planning framework. And that includes a collaborative, which is the work group and project partners, decision support tools, and then pilot projects. So we are partnering with the Butte County Fire Safe Council to begin developing this framework by focusing on 3 of the planning areas in Butte County. And those 3 planning areas are Forest Ranch, Town Ridge, and Paradise Ridge. So the Butte Forest and Doe Ridge Watershed Project and Magalia Forest Health Management Project, along with the 2 proposed projects, the Town Ridge Forest Health Planning Project, need to shorten up these project names, and the Butte Creek Forest Health Implementation Project, they all represent an important piece with landscape level planning and restoration efforts. And in the Town Ridge planning area, a number of forest health and watershed improvement efforts have been completed there, but it is really in need of a large-scale restoration effort. So the proposed Town Ridge planning project will complete CEQA on 640 acres in preparation for forest thinning for wildfire fuels reduction. And then something that just recently exciting happened is the American Forest Foundation has a new program, the Sierra Woods Project, and they are working in partnership with Silver Wheeler. And this is an effort to treat acres of at-risk forest at little to no cost to the individual landowner. So parallel to our efforts, they are currently working to identify landowners with 10+ acres. And they're working on an education and outreach piece to basically try to get the acreage around the other areas that aren't already within a plan to do fuel reduction and thinning on those areas too. So up to like 2,000 acres. So the reason we chose the 640 acres was budget related. The planning budget is only 75,000. And so that was the max amount of acres. But again, it's because we're working on this project and because of all the activities, successful efforts of the Butte County Fire Safe Council, the American Forest Foundation identified this area as one of the areas that they're going to do work in. The Butte County Fire Safe Council also, they just completed the Forest Health Management Plan and CEQA compliance for 1,066 acres in the Paradise Ridge planning area. And so the other proposed project, the Butte Creek project, will implement forest health thinning on approximately 400 acres of that area as recommended in the plan. And again, the acreage amount is based on available funds. And you know, we hope that these projects, which they've already done, that they will leverage other resources and leverage other efforts. In forest health planning area, or Forest Ranch planning area, most of the thinning and line along Doe Ridge has been completed in preparation for burning. And so starting this month with the TREX, a series of pilot broadcast burns will occur. And then we'll finish up with that burn in the spring. And then we're already working with Cerro Fuego, the university, and other landowners to identify opportunities for investment and to develop funding mechanisms to continue to maintain that work in the planning area. And, the Doe Mill Ridge project has been identified for, I think it's been 10 plus years. They've been looking at doing that project. But once we were able to secure funding for a portion of that from the SMC, BLM was able to come in and go ahead and do projects on adjacent areas because they could leverage these resources. So those are the 3 planning areas that we're looking at, and we're also working with the Butte County Fire and Safety Council and the CWTP work group to design and develop a forest health planning tool, and that is being developed within the Sacramento River Watershed Portal, and that will support the prioritization, the implementation and monitoring of forest health projects in all 3 planning areas. So we'll be working with stakeholders to gather and digitize key planning area data and information, including GIS layers and maps, the assessment data, the plans, projects, and programs, and then we'll combine those with tools for stakeholders so that they can aggregate, contribute, store, analyze, share, and communicate important information about the planning area. And, we've been looking at data management for a number of years now. We started out doing a feasibility study for a regional monitoring program in the Sacramento River Watershed. And what came of that is really what was most critical. The most critical need for stakeholders was communication, coordination, and technical assistance. And then numerous assessments of the challenges, needs, and opportunities for advancing landscape scale conservation identify decision support systems and tools as the dominant need. So Amy Osby with 34 North was going to try to be there today to present on the portal. But I talked to Uma, and we thought it was probably best that we do a portal presentation maybe at the next meeting and go ahead and give a larger presentation and give a demonstration of the portal. So I can answer questions regarding the project and the letters of support, or I did share a couple of handouts with Uma. One is on the portal and has some really good information, as well as my contact information and the address, the web address for the portal. So I can talk a little bit about the portal if you'd like, or
well, Holly, let me see if there's questions. First, there's 2 letters of support that are requested, and in your packet, the first one, which is the Butte Fire Safety Council Little Butte Creek Forest Health Project, is on page 24. And then the second one, which is Forbstown Ridge Forest Health Project, is on page 37. So,
correct.
Unless anyone has an objection to something in those letters.
Just one clarification, are both these projects within our boundary?
They are not within our boundary.
So I don't know if that is reflected on the letters.
Well, those are close to our boundary. It's just,
Right, they're right outside.
I was gonna say, other than the endorsement of it adjacent.
Well, and certainly a
Yeah,
fire,
that's what
fire in those areas would rapidly come into our boundary.
Just might want to reflect
Yeah.
that it's, yeah.
Okay, so does anybody have questions for Holly, or do I hear a motion to approve the 2 letters? No question? Have a motion?
There is a typo on page 24. It says "we am writing." It should be "we are."
We need an attorney at the table.
Right, English major.
That lets me out.
Ivy, she's good at finding mistakes.
No comment.
Good.
Did you get a second?
I'm waiting for one.
Second.
Doug, second?
Being that they're in Butte County, I better second.
Yeah, if you don't, you're in.
Thank you, Supervisor Rowan, for the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so we will be sending letters of support. And thank you very much, Holly.
Both places.
Thank you very much. I look forward to hopefully seeing you in person at the next meeting.
Good deal, we'll welcome you.
Paradise is
Take
one of the
care.
most dangerous places I know for a fire, that community sitting on that ridge, so anything.
It's my hometown.
That and Forest Ranch.
Forest Ranch, yeah.
You bet.
Both of those are tinder boxes.
And then the Laporte Road, that's a Too much vegetation.
Okay, so moving on to item 2,
Holly, are you going to stay on or?
I think she went. Disadvantaged Community Involvement Grant update. Update on the Disadvantaged Community Involvement DACI project that is led by Sierra Institute. This is an informational item, and I think it begins on page 41 of your packet.
So we just had a coordinating council meeting for this grant application. On October 4th, the grant funding had been awarded. So now they go into the draft agreement process, and the draft agreement was provided to Sierra Institute on October 10th. So they're reviewing that, and then it goes through a series of signatures and checks. So it'll be a few weeks before it's completed. But they're hoping to begin work either at the end of this month or beginning of November. They're doing some preliminary work already. They did request, because this is a DAC project, we can request 50% payment up front. So they're doing that and have submitted that paperwork. They'll have 18 months to do the work that was prepaid, and then 2.5 years to complete the project in total.
Okay, for the people that in the audience that might not be that familiar, can you give us a couple of examples of the type of work they are doing?
Sure. So if you look on page 40 of your packet, there is a general overview with a summary of the tasks they'll be doing. This is a community involvement project. So part of it will be doing a needs assessment for all the disadvantaged communities in the Mountain Planning funding area, which runs from southern Sierra all the way up to the Upper Feather, or the northernmost part of the region, or the funding area. So they'll be doing outreach and engagement. Part of it will be to encourage and build capacity within the regions to involve disadvantaged communities in the regional water management planning efforts. Then they'll be doing a needs assessment, which is required as part of the grant proposal and application. And then they'll be doing capacity building and some technical assistance for the disadvantaged communities, and with the overall goal of including the disadvantaged communities and underrepresented communities and tribes in the regional water management process, and also to build capacity so that they have projects that are ready to go into to apply for the implementation funding that is coming up next. Sierra Institute, based in the Genesee Valley area, or Indian Valley area, I guess, they are the applicant. So they will be running doing the project, managing the project, and they'll be doing the outreach to up and down the Sierra. So if you, also in the packet starting on page 41 is the final draft of the application that was sent to UWR, and this is what has been approved. So you can look through this. I think Larry noticed that maybe the list of disadvantaged communities in the back wasn't totally complete yet. So this is their initial work on it. But if you look in here and see a community that should be on here that's not, Jonathan Kutzl should be notified, and his contact information is in the application. So, but they will be doing targeted outreach in this region as well as this year.
And I'd encourage everybody to take advantage of that, take a look, because we may know of an area we consider disadvantaged that somehow or another was overlooked, and it would be important at this point to get everything in there. One of the reasons I wanted you to go over what the work they were going to do is the capacity building, because this group had identified capacity building as one of the greatest needs in our area for all of the people who submitted projects and those who didn't. So I'm hoping that this portion of it, $500,000, should be able to get out there and do something for all of our agencies, special districts, organizations that really do need help building their own capacity to seek grants and manage grants and get their projects done. It's good to hear they're funded. But like I said about RWM, let's see some results on the road, not just projects on the shelf. Okay.
A big point of this is to get folks ready for the implementation funding. And one of the Institute will be undertaking is doing a more refined approach to identifying DACs. DWR took an initial stab at it, which was 8% of the median household income, but as we know from the update process that we went through, that didn't accurately identify all of the DACs. There's a lot of data missing at that level. So Sierra Institute is refining that and doing a more in-depth look at their regions.
So, what, I think 11 IRWMs basically with representatives agreed on this program. That's pretty amazing in one quick thought. And just talking a little bit about, well, there's Cal Environmental Screen, which is really kind of bent towards the San Joaquin Valley. And what Jonathan's shop is trying to do is get a better handle on the disadvantaged communities that are out there through a different methodology. And DWR bought off on that in the grant application. And again, as Linda said, when we found holes when we did it up here, this is trying to help close those holes. Again, I see this as, well, maybe we won't get Prop 1 money out of DWR in the future, but if these disadvantaged communities are identified, the capacity building is helpful in some way, that opens up the door to other funding opportunities, not just Prop 1 funding.
Right.
That's gotta be an issue, pretty consistent all the way down
It
Sierra.
is. It is.
What I would like to come out of all of this too is some kind of state agency-wide, what is a DAC?
Yeah.
Because it seems like no matter what group you're working with, as Roger could say, there's a different criteria.
Yes, there is.
And so when somebody says this is a DAC, well, on the one scale, it might be with another agency, it might not be. So it would be really helpful if at some point the state would come up and say, this is the criteria used throughout the whole state for every kind of program. That is what we use to establish a DAC area or not. Because I think it's very confusing for people that deal with different criteria to then come sit somewhere and listen to a whole different set of criteria. It's, you know, I never realized it was quite as messed up as it is until we started.
It's a tough subject, because you've got urban, rural, mountain.
True,
Pretty hard to package it into one.
They need to sit down.
Yeah, I know, they need to do it.
Figure it out.
Categorize it somehow.
Right.
I think this effort will help refine that.
Sure.
I do.
I hope so.
Because Jonathan's group, basically social science studies, you know, they have PhD, I think Lauren's got a PhD, and this will really help. And put some really good minds to try to help figure this out and refine it.
I think it would be a help for all of us in all of the different capacities that we have to have one criterion where we all knew what we're talking about from one organization to the next. Okay, anything else on that?
I just wanted to say that there's only a few that have come to this point so far. 2 have been completed and they have, with their grant agreement process, and they're starting their work. And then 3 more have been agreed, the agreement has been reached, and we are one of them. So just to know that we're not way behind in the state.
And that's good. I'm always amazed as little as we are, how well we do. And remember, that's a lot because of you, so thank you. Okay, we talked at the last meeting, this is item 3, Upper Feather River IRWM support funding. We talked a little bit about supporting the admin of this group in our IRWM, and that when we had the grant funding, it was funding the admin, and therefore we never had this discussion. But now we're at the point where the grant's gone, and we're looking for funding to continue to contract with UMA and our admin function. And at the last meeting, we discussed the potential for Sierra County and Butte County to contribute toward it, and tried to look at what would be a fair way of figuring out how much each county would contribute. So on page 105, UMA has come up with some data to talk about what she discovered. We talked about percentage of population. We talked about percentage of acres. within the IRWM. Obviously, Butte County isn't completely within our IRWM, so that needs to be factored in there. But Uma, what do you recommend, and what did you come up with besides all these great figures?
Well, I put together these numbers, just again, as Sherry said, based on the discussion that happened last time about either possibly looking at a percentage of the geographic area and the population. So these numbers are assuming that these other counties that are not native, Lassen, Shasta, Tehama, and Yuba, aren't there. And what is the percentage of the planned area for Butte, Plymouth, and Sierra? So on page 106 of your packet, you can see a breakdown of how that would occur. And this is based on a $25,000 contract to do admin for your admin support services. So it's for the geographic area and the population. This is really just some numbers to start the discussion. And I'm happy to talk about how I came to those numbers. But it's basically assuming those other counties weren't there, calculating that way.
Well, I like the, I like the one where Plymouth pays the least. But I'm sure that there's a couple other supervisors here that might agree with that. So, and then agencies within representation of the IRWM. You know, I've never thought about going to anything other than the counties. Because I know most of these agencies don't have any money. They're worse off than the counties. And in some cases have no funding whatsoever. So what?
Well, I just thinking as you said that, and going forward, as if funding opportunities do become available, is there any way to put a portion of the grant application towards any individual one of these, because we took in all those plans and everything, and the hope is that there's gonna become funding available for some of those options. Is there a way to leverage a small percentage off of every grant application going forward?
So
If
just-
money comes, from each individual district, whatever it may be, whether it's the PUD or whoever applies for a grant through your whim, is there a way to, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Filter off just an admin fee off of that just for, I know it's not gonna help us today, but I'm thinking long-term down the road, is there a way to create that policy that.
But I thought there was an issue with pulling that off, Fred.
I've heard that discussed in other meetings. It really depends on the specifications of each grant, whether that will be allowed or not. But that would be something being looked at to put on a small admin fee. Administrative fees are usually like in the 5 to 10% limitations on grants. But that might be something to look at in the future. As grants come up, we have to look at that and talk to that rep, whether it's DWR or the State Water Board, or whoever it is.
Well, because I know the majority of the ones we've been involved with are at least 10 to 14%, and the S&C, I think, is 10. But, a portion of that 10, if the filing agencies are in agreement, we're not looking to try to fund the world just to pay the bills.
Right.
I think it's a fair ask if this organization is created and provided the opportunity, the avenue for that to happen,
But for the moment, we need to nail down the anchor here.
I'm thinking that would be so much a case by case.
yeah, it's